welcome to episode 40 of My Dog Will Eat My Face. Now, this is a pretty big moment. This is the 40th episode. I never thought I would actually last this long, and yet here I am tugging away. Free to annoy my neighbors at my convenience, so it seems. Anyway, I'm very proud to have at least lived this long despite all expectations. And I think reaching 40 episodes of this podcast is just a demonstration of that, of my veracity to keep pushing myself forward despite the pain and the odds all against me. And I am quite proud of that component of my life. But, of course, I'd rather live without it. Nonetheless, we only have the cards we're dealt, and so this is the best way I can handle and play out this round. So, 40th episode, what will I talk about today? Well, at the forefront of my mind is honestly what had occurred in the last couple weeks, maybe the last month or so, where I've been facing severe problems that are more of a physical nature. I think before then I was facing a lot of emotional problems and a lot of emotional stress for dealing with being in hospice and being aware of an oncoming death and learning how to handle that and come to peace with that, which I surprisingly have come to peace with. And so I think I made good work in the last few months as I got to here. But now it seems to be approaching the physical side of things based on the last month or so, last few weeks, last month. As I deal more with pain than just the emotional distress. I mean, in the last few weeks, I've had and still have severe pain in my right foot. It's acting like something broke it, but I swear I didn't break it on anything. But it's swollen, it's in pain, I can hardly put a shoe on from the swelling, and it's just all bad news. And then on top of that, I've had severe back issues and back pains as well. Pardon me. And a few other more minor physical problems have led me to worry that this next stage that I'm going to face is going to be very difficult for me, because this is, I think, where I'm going to have to confront and deal with the pain of dying. And that worries me quite a bit, because truth being told, I might have a lot of experience with pain, but I'm not that great with it. I'm the one to say, give me the painkillers. I don't care if I get hooked. Give it to me. Knock out the pain. I can't handle it. That's kind of like me. So, with that said, I've really got to consider how I'm going to handle myself moving forward, and how am I going to handle pain in this new stage of my life. So, first off, I want to say and point out that pain is definitely not new to me. I don't want to leave that out there as some sort of deception. I've unfortunately had my fair share of pain, and I've risen above it all each time. I've broken my leg severely that required urgent surgery on my hip, and I had to have my entire left hip replaced in an emergency surgery. That was quite painful. I had to learn to walk all over again, actually, too. I've broken both my arms. One arm I've broken twice. I've broken ribs and fingers. I've cracked my head open. I've had my fair share of a beating. I've had my fair share of pain. Oh yeah, I've been swarmed by bees and wasps. I've had quite the gambit. But regardless, I think this new pain is going to be something slightly more severe as indicated so far. Certainly with what I've been dealing with lately. And that's where I get really quite scared. And not too optimistic that I have the abilities to handle the pain that I might be facing, just because in the last few weeks I've had pain levels that have reached and exceeded my prior levels of pain that were so severe. And they're not going away. They're not shading away. No, they might. They might yet. Maybe they just take longer. That's true. But I'm more concerned with the fact that this might be my new normal. And that's exactly what I stated as my worry to my hospice team, that I'm afraid this pain and this suffering is the new normal. They didn't argue back, unfortunately. They didn't tell me I was stupid, which I'd hoped they would. But rather, they nodded and said, this very well could be your new normal. As I decline through this disease, they've absolutely asserted that I've faced a sudden drop in my well-being. And there's nothing more they can really do about it. They've given me painkillers. They've given me muscle relaxers. They've tried everything. So, with that being said, I don't think there's much more that could be done. At least not in the material sense. So I've got to consider other options. I have to think about what I can do outside of the material. And for me, that's very difficult because I'm a material girl. God, I promise never to do that again. I am a very materialistic kind of person. I live in a material world. I do not meditate or pray or live in a way that is not a direct reflection of actual things and events and feelings. And so that's what I mean when I say I live in a material world. But with that, I think managing this pain is going to be extremely difficult, and it's only going to get worse. Since we've exhausted the physical options, the material options, painkillers, for example, I have no choice but to explore other options to try to see if I can't find a way to view pain slightly differently than I've ever viewed it before. And I think that is probably the only and the best way to manage the pain for me going forward. So, I need to consider what I have in my quiver to handle the pain and the suffering as things move forward. I know that I have my history. That's as solid as anything could ever be. I know I have my character. That's something I fight for every day, and I don't take lightly. I don't have massive financial resources, so I can't escape to an island somewhere. Sorry, Jerry, I can't attend this year's party on the island. Yeah. I heard he's not going to be there this year anyway, but I digress. Anyway, so I have to consider, can those parcels of my being, those pieces of my mind, be used in a way to mitigate at least the pain in some fashionable way? The Stoics say yes, absolutely. They, throughout their time, have argued that the mind is there to put the pain into check. Marcus Aurelius himself once said, whenever you suffer pain, keep in mind that it's nothing to be ashamed of, and that it can't degrade your guiding intelligence, nor keep it from acting rationally and for the common good. And in most cases, you should be helped by the saying of Epicurus that pain is never unbearable or unending. So you remember these limits and not add to them in your imagination. And not add them in your imagination. That's profound. I have to think about that. I think that goes to the old saying. My mother used to tell me this. I think I'm quoting Marcus Aurelius, but my mother said the same thing. Different words. She would tell me to not add things to the problem. Don't imagine issues and catastrophic events when you're fighting and dealing with something. It's only going to make things worse. Don't add things that are imaginary. And that is sage advice, and I think that's something I should follow. My mother's version is a lot more understanding. So I think that's something this should be a goal of mine, to not imagine additional problems and make things worse in doing so. Now, one interesting thing comes to my mind when I consider the attribute of remembering my past and that it's solid. Because I have endured some very serious pains in my life. Very serious pains. And when I broke my leg, it took me months, about 4 months, to learn how to walk again. That was rather severe. I've never had pain that bad before. But I lived through it. A lot of times during the day I didn't want to live anymore. But I made it through it. And maybe by understanding those truths, I can carry that forward further to know that just as I endured what seemed impossible in the past, just when I thought there was no way a human being could endure this level of pain, lo and behold, I did. And I can't argue with that. It's as solid as ever. It's in the past. It's done. I could always try to remind myself of that. And perhaps that might mitigate some of the pain. I am very terrified of a new normal. Just the thought of that scares me. I hate the idea of every day just being in pain. But I don't have a choice in it. I'm unfortunately not the dictator of my own life. And the Stoic approach to managing pain is interesting. They merely state, be rational with the pain. Don't exaggerate it. Don't say it's going to last forever, because it's not. I mean, no matter what, it's not going to last forever. I mean, if at the worst, it will kill you. It'll kill you before that happens. You're not immortal. It's not going to last forever. And that's the good news? Yay. So their approach is rather interesting. And they also say to not be ashamed of the pain. That I could get behind. I've never felt shame from pain. Thankfully, that's something I never really dealt with. So that's easy enough, I think, for me to do. And another sort of instruction that they've said is know that your rational mind and your faculties are still there. Everything that got you to where you are in the past still exists. And they can help move you forward through this new normal, through this pain. Because none of that has changed. And you should embrace that and use it. And that sounds easy, but I think it's an easier said than done thing. So I don't know. I don't know what to do precisely to help with the pain. It is actually comforting to reflect and know that it doesn't last forever. So that right there has already brought me some comfort. And I have to still try to stay being me. I have to maintain my character. That's the challenge, and that's the opportunity that the Stoics see in this. It's an opportunity for your body and your mind to excel even further than they have excelled in the past. If that's the case, I've got a great big glowing opportunity. I don't know. I guess I'll try those things. I'll try my best. And if I fail, I guess I'll go back to the drawing board to reconsider what needs to be done to get through this new normal. So, with all that being said, I know I've got a long struggle ahead of me. It's going to get dirty. I don't know why my accent suddenly changed there to Southern. It's going to get dirty. Yep. It's going to be a difficult ride as I deal with this new normal. I don't want to deal with it, but I have to. So, all I can do is my best and try to not give it such power over my life that it doesn't have. Not imagine things that aren't real. To exaggerate the pain. And to remember that my good nature and character is still robust enough to have lived well before this and will live long past this. Well, actually, it might not live long past this, but it will go at the same time. But anyway, it's not the end-all be-all of life. And so that's going to be my attempted approach at this on how I handle pain because it looks like I'm going to have to start dealing with that aspect of my disease a lot more going forward. And I'm not looking forward to it. So wish me luck, my dear listeners. Please wish me luck. And, well, with that, I think I will wrap this week's podcast. And thank you all for tuning in and listening to the 40th episode. Wow. So, by 40, please, in the name of God, click follow. And turn on notifications if you haven't already. I'm begging you, it's been 40 episodes. Do that. At least. And if you want to be really cool, go to patreon.com/mydogwilleeatmyface, and you could toss just a little shekel to me begging on the street corner. And again, in all seriousness, I, above all else, appreciate and am humbled by your support and your listenership, and I am very thankful for the time you guys give me to share a part of your day with, and I'm lost for words as to how to express my thanks to you guys. It gives a lot to me to be able to share these experiences and to know that there are others out there listening in and chiming into what I have to say. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will talk to you next week, but for now, I must say, auf Wiedersehen.